It's time to focus on seniors with Helping Seniors TV. The television show designed to make you aware of senior issues and needs, as well as to acquaint you with the resources available to help you age in place and with dignity. Now, here's your host, Joe Steckler.
I'm Joe Steckler, and welcome to Helping Seniors, the television arm of Helping Seniors of Brevard County. Our show is designed to provide you with information on how to develop your own aging and care plans. Our topic today is building an information network. And joining me is Kerry Fink, Communications Director of Helping Seniors. Welcome, Kerry.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, you're here all the time anyway.
But it's usually not on this side of the camera.
I know you're on the other side of the camera, but folks, I was telling Kerry before we started doing this show that when I started in nonprofit work 27 years ago, I would have been counting myself very, very fortunate to have had the benefit of his expertise and experience in helping us as we built a national faith and action program at one point comprised of over 1,100 organizations, Kerry. And sad to say, the thing has just gone defunct. It just gone belly up. I tried to contact the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation people. I've tried to find out where these organizations were today, because for years I had a directory, and I would call these people because I would get calls from people from all over the United States, and I had this directory that listed faith and action programs across the country.
Wow.
I could call them, a phone call, and I could say, this is Joe, I'm in Melbourne, Florida. I've got the Faith and Action program here. I've got somebody in Cedar Rapids, Iowa that needs nursing home care. Can you give me a name of a couple of facilities? And he could do that.
Wow. Wow.
And this is just something that, and this is 20-some plus years ago. And we didn't have this television show. We didn't have, at that point, I didn't have my radio show. I didn't have all the printed stuff.
Right.
But as time marched on, we saw that there was a great need for all this stuff. So then I met you, roughly 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And we have now produced roughly 150 TV shows.
Right.
And we know it's a good product. People watch it, people depend on it. But we're not here to hear me talk about, we want to get your thoughts on what we can do to build an information network. And when I say that, what is an information network, Kerry? Why is it really so important? You're an old radio guy and TV guy. Why is it so important?
Well, there's an old thing that we used to talk about when we sold radio time. I'm talking about in a commercial radio station venture and things like that. We would always explain to a business owner who would say, my business is great. I do it by word of mouth. And we would always explain that media is just word of mouth at a higher plane. In other words, you can reach more people with the same message. Your message has to be good. And my point about what we're doing with Helping Seniors and why it's so important is when we did the senior advocacy survey last year, we discovered that the number one need among seniors universally here in Brevard County is access to information. And ironically, that's almost one of the easiest problems to solve because we have such great media at our fingertips here locally. We have, like you mentioned, great television opportunities. We have great radio opportunities, great print opportunities, great print partners that help us get the word out. And then we have the ability now, thank God for the World Wide Web, because we have the opportunity now to reach people digitally. So a lot of times, as you know, we can be talking to the adult children of parents who may live here, but the adult children may live up north and they're trying to figure out how to best help mom and dad. And they may be looking at the programs from up in, Syracuse, New York or something.
Well, I pick up on that a little bit because what Kerry's talking about, folks, is that if you go to helpingseniors.brevard.org, you can see all our radio, television, newspaper articles. Kerry puts all that on our website. So if you have family that live in Melbourne, Florida, and also live in Ipswich, New York,
sure,
and they have somebody as a friend that lives out in California, and they have a family member that lives here They can call the family member that lives up in Ipswich, New York. They can call their other family member that lives here. They can tell them to go. They can tell them, the other people, to go to the website, and they can find out about all this stuff. They can find out about nursing homes, daycares, programs that help keep the cost of care as inexpensive as possible. But more importantly, it can fit the need that exists.
Right.
And too often, Kerry, it's been my experience that people are driven to unnecessary levels of care, or once they get to that unnecessary level of care, they don't know how to back out of it.
Yes. Well, isn't that always the statement, people perish for the lack of knowledge? And that's why at first I was surprised when I thought that's what we saw in the survey. People need better connection to information about services and things that could help them as they're aging. And the reality is, when you think about it, it's just what you said. We're providing those answers. And by having the ability to hit the things, you know, from having been a senior advocate for years and years and years, that there are a number of common themes that are always going to come up. And your success in helping seniors is that you're able to link them to the right program, or point them in the right direction so they can get the help they need to solve their problems.
Well, we're a small organization. We're not big. And that's a key element. It doesn't need to get real big.
Right.
We have a crew of roughly, generally 4 or 5 people that produce these TV shows. We operate on a small budget. John Harper donates the radio time as in-kind from his radio station. He now has a 50,000 watt transmitter. Our area of radio coverage has quadrupled. And people will say, oh, nobody listens to the radio. That's not true.
That's right.
It is not true. People driving cars turn the radio on all the time. I can remember one time I was doing my radio show, it was several years ago, and I had a trucker pick up our show down in Port St. Lucie, Florida. And he called up to ask a question, because when he found out when we were in Melbourne, he had some problems in Melbourne, and he called us to see how to solve that problem.
Sure.
So we know that the word, whether it's printed, visual, or listened to, and in my case, it has to be loud because of my hearing aids, and you laugh about that, but it's true. The stuff is there. We just have to be able to find it.
Well, and the beautiful thing, too, is that the way the media is set up for us here in Brevard County, and the fact that so many media organizations have come on board to help, we're reaching various communities. You know, we were just talking about, the fact that the newsletter for Helping Seniors is in Senior Scene magazine. Right. Each month, it's an 8-page center section pullout. It's chock full of articles that help people. That's reaching a senior audience. Then you have your column is printed in everything from Ebony News Today to Aldea Today. So you're reaching every segment of the market, so everybody can access this information. And that's why I think it really improves the value for seniors to get that information that they need.
And I think there's so much talk about making communities, especially in Florida, what we call elder-friendly communities. What does that really mean? I met with the Secretary of Elder Affairs years ago when they first started this initiative, Dr. Emma Hernandez. She started it. And she met me here. We went out for supper. And her vision was wide sidewalks with improved lighting where seniors could go out walking at 11 o'clock at night. At 11 o'clock at night, I'm in bed.
Right.
I don't want to go out and walk at 11 o'clock at night. I hate walking, but I know I need to walk because it's good exercise. And a lot of people do it. But the point is, we can't change communities as they currently exist, but we can change the way we look at things within a community without much cost.
Absolutely. When you think about some of the things that we get calls routinely about, it's people who have universal issues like transportation. They're just simply trying to find a way to get to a doctor for a doctor's appointment. They're trying to find a way to cope with the cost of their prescription drugs. Sometimes it's things as diverse as somebody having a problem with a roof leaking, and now they're in an unsafe condition because of mold mold and things like that. It's amazing the conversations that go on when people are calling that information hotline for helping seniors. And that's the point, is that by providing them the information and a direction for them to proceed, we're clearly, it's like the light at the end of the tunnel that will help them find a solution for whatever particular problem that they're facing. And
we just did 2 recent TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most common things we get calls from the office is seniors need roof repairs.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the financial wherewithal to do it.
Mm-hmm.
A question we failed to ask is, do you own your home?
Mm-hmm.
And if you own a home, saw a home beachside, maybe it's worth $150,000, $175,000, or $200,000. What was paid for? Or if they got a lot of credit in it, they could take out what we call a home equity line of credit or a reverse mortgage. And I caution viewers, before you ever go out and do that, make sure you get the right person to do it, because you can get taken to the cleaners if you don't do it the right way.
Right.
But if you do it the right way, you might be able to take a $5,000 line of credit out on your house, put a new roof on your house, and end up having a dry house. The only downside of that means you might have $5,000 left to leave your children 5 years from now when you die. But we have to be realistic. We have to realize what is it that we really want to leave our children. What kind of a legacy do you want to leave them? I prefer to leave a legacy to my children to say, hey, look, I've worked. I expect you to work. I want you to work because I want you to be successful. I want you to be able to pay for your own way in life. I don't want you to depend on somebody else.
Right.
And that's important.
Right.
We had, the other case we had Joe Pons from a Canadian Meds of Melbourne in, and he was describing a situation where there's an injection pump that after a certain type of surgical procedure, they inject this pump. It's a one-time thing. He injected it into the knee. The doctors do it, but the cost of that pump is, the cheapest one I found is $1,100 for a one-time injection.
Right.
Yet he can buy that pump in Canada, through Canada, have it shipped to the doctor's office for $172. The company is still making a profit. He's making a profit, and he started a new business. And the user is saving $900.
Absolutely. Remember the line that we always used to think about. Don't people like to work off of referrals? You know, there used to be even ads for like banks or things like that would say, now you have a friend in the banking business or whatever. The reason is you need to go when you hit these situations, and we've talked about this before, aging is an on-the-job training experience. There's nobody that can prepare you for it.
You do it yourself.
You have to. Each one of us has to. And we all have to do it to the best of our abilities. But if you can glean information along the way where somebody has been down a road that you're trying to travel, and you can learn from that experience, you maybe don't have to stub your toe in the same way, and you can maybe find a way through whatever crisis, whatever situation. And some of the things that you know, I'm just thinking back through various programs that you've done. You have a wonderful elder attorney who's been connected with the program for many years, and some of the information that he presents about
Bill Johnson.
Yeah,
Same name.
Some of the things that Bill has talked about are absolutely revelational. I remember just recently you did a TV show, and he was explaining about situations where somebody suddenly becomes ill, and then all of a sudden, because they're familiar with laws in another state, they go changing house titles and all kinds of things that, when Bill explains it, are really not necessarily necessary.
Right.
And it's people are doing this because they didn't access the knowledge. And when I look at the kind of programs that Helping Seniors produces, when it's everything from help like that to when you're talking to people, you taped a show very recently with a couple of people talking about in-home care. And for many people who are thinking like, I need to go here for help, when the help can actually come to you, and it's far more affordable than people would imagine. But if you don't have that exposure, you don't know what your options are.
The same lady, one of those ladies that was on that show with me that you're talking about, folks, this is a true case. This one organization, Seniors Helping Seniors, was able to go in and help a woman get dressed in the morning, make sure they got fed, got them pointed in the right direction for the day. I did that 7 days a week, 4 weeks a month, at a cost of, it was 30, 150, 600, something like, I'm trying to remember. It was $30 a day, $100.
It was a fraction
Yeah,
of what it would
something
cost in an
like $1,000,
Yeah.
like $1,200 a year.
right.
And then it became necessary to do the same thing at night. So they got her up in the morning, put her to bed at night. And it was costing something like $2,000 or $3,000 a year to do that. Whereas if she'd have gone to an assisted living facility, the cheapest place of the type she wanted would have cost $6,000 a month.
Right.
So whenever all these shows I've talked about, I've been doing radio for 16 years. When I talk about care, I talk about elements of care. I don't generally just say nursing home, assisted living, daycare. I talk about each of those types of service as an element and show how it's a building block thing.
Right.
As you get older, as you need more care, you pull in the different building blocks. And what we do with Helping Seniors is we try to build a provider network of the stepping stones
Absolutely.
that help get people to where they need to be in life. And that's exactly what we do with our provider network and our media sponsors. Everybody's geared towards helping people. And, you always talk to me about inbound and outbound communications. What is, when we talk about building an information network, why do you think it's so important that we pull more people into this media network?
Well, when I say inbound and outbound, I think about what happens for most speakers if they get up and give a presentation. The first part of the presentation is outbound. In fact, that's what we're doing right now when we do a Helping Seniors television program. We're trying to do the best we can with the knowledge and information that the group has access to provide meaningful, valuable things that will help seniors in Brevard County age with dignity. Conversely, after a speaker presents outbound information, what do? They ask for questions, who has questions. And oftentimes that becomes one of the most interesting parts of the learning process is the presentation was valuable, but the questions and answers are really what is cut to the continuity of the situation the person is facing. And what I mean by that is that's what happens when somebody calls the inbound hotline, the senior information hotline. They can have heard something on the program and say, how would I apply this in my case? And when we talked about every senior is moving down a different road, just like you said, some people are going to prefer to age at home. There are others who would really appreciate and choose the value of being in an assisted lifestyle community or things like that.
Because of companionship.
Right. And so you always have to look at each individual's path. And that's why the more they can get access to the information, they can make good quality decisions.
And that's what Kay does as the information specialist. But more importantly, Kerry, somebody makes that inbound call, Kay listens to what they say, assesses what they've said, lets them know what some of the options are.
Right.
Outbound, she tells them what she thinks. A little period of time may go back and she gets a call from them, or else she calls them to see how they're doing.
Right.
It's not like a one-stop shop where you make the phone call and that's the end of it. Kay follows up.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference.
This is so important what you're talking about now, because one of the things, I made this observation the other day, somebody calls Helping Seniors of Brevard. It's not press 1 for, press 2 for, press 3 for. You're going to get a call back, and you're going to get information that's going to help you in your situation, at least to the best of the organization's abilities. At the very least, hopefully we can be a point of connection that ties you to a solution. And one of the things that Kay is excellent about doing, and we talked about this, it's had, since Helping Seniors has been running this hotline, there's been more than 900 different cases that Kay has worked with and helped along the way. And each case, as you pointed out, is not one call, it's several calls. Here's an idea, let's follow up. Did that work? Okay, let's try this. Here's how we proceed. It becomes moving through that whole pipeline.
The ironic part about it, Kerry, is that we founded the organization in 2011, And from 2011 until now, I've been taking phone calls at my home, and people get my phone number and they'll call me, and I'll ask them. I had a call the other night from Washington, D.C., and I said, how in the world did you get my name to call me for that kind of help? They said, well, we had a friend that lived in Titusville, Florida, and they knew about you from your work down there. So they said, if he can't get an answer from you, you're not going to get an answer. It's sort of backhanding myself here, but it's true.
It's absolutely true.
If you're providing a good information source, people need to know about it. And I am not reluctant to tell anybody about a good product. Right. Somebody says, well, how can you make a reference like that, Joe? I said, because I know the people. I know what they do. I know they're honest. I know they're good. I know they'll help this person. So if somebody calls me, I assume that you're calling me because you want the right kind of help, or you wouldn't call me. What I really got a concern about when people started calling me and asked me how I was going to vote. and I said,
they know that you are, you're a lifelong expert, and the wisdom that you've amassed over the years of all the experience you have, you can help somebody cut through the tape. I've seen you when Kay will say, okay, here's a situation, I'm trying to help this person do this, and almost just right off the bat you say, this is who you need to call, this is how this one goes. And that's the voice of experience. That is a priceless commodity. Wow. And I was thinking about this, why do you pay a good attorney? Why do you pay a good doctor? You're paying for their experience. And here is something that is a gift to the community. Helping seniors is a gift to the community. And it doesn't cost the people who are calling. And you know how many people are struggling with $500, $600, $700 a month as their only source of income from Social Security, and they're trying to figure out how to make this go. We're a gift to that community. And
I think we don't have a lot of time left, but you mentioned helping people. Brevard County has over 50% senior citizens. Roughly 255,000 senior citizens, between 67 and 75,000 veterans, and an untold number of spouses of veterans. We have a large number of unremarried widows of World War II, Korean, and Service War veterans that are living on $700, $800, and $900 a month, and they're not even aware of what we call veterans aid and attendance. And no matter how many times I talk about it at different functions, I spoke to a group of retirees, over 100 retirees there.
Right.
And after this thing, two ladies came up, both of them unremarried widows of World War II veterans, and they both qualified for veterans aid and attendance. We helped them get that, and they went from $800 a month to roughly $2,000 a month of income. It was like them striking a gold mine.
It's the blessing of what Helping Seniors does. And again, it goes back to the importance of information. Exactly.
The importance of information. We are building an information network. Your television company, TYG Media, helps us by producing these TV shows. I've been doing the radio show now we're in our 16th year. We are in the Spanish newspaper, the Black newspaper, Hometown News. Readership on Hometown News is 200,000.
Yes.
Aldea today is the entire Spanish community in Brevard County. Ebony News, the Black community. Then we have Senior Scene Magazine and Spotlight Magazine, another 40,000 plus each. It's a tremendous resource. Why somebody would say you're not providing a service, or I just don't understand that. But we get that because it's competition. When you get into the nonprofit community, I can think of, I'm not going to mention organizations, but I know somebody spends $177,000 a year to produce a pamphlet.
Wow.
We don't even spend $177,000 a year to do the whole thing.
Sure.
And right now, one of the things I hope, we're getting ready to have our second year session of the Advocacy Council, and we meet in April. And our challenge this time, folks, just for your information, we hope to be able to put together a document. We're going to do a new survey, and I hope that more of you will participate this time than we did the last time, but we'll do a better job of getting a survey out. But what we would like to do is get a sense of what the community thinks about us trying to convince the county commissioners to use the Space Coast Government television channel as a branding iron for assembling a plethora of senior information, so that we make it an information network, and people will say, look, turn to channel 499 and watch one of the shows and look at the directory, see what you can do.
Absolutely. You know, the Space Coast Government Television has been a very good friend of Helping Seniors. They air our programs 3 times a week. It's on every single cable house. It doesn't matter which cable service you're connected to, you're going to be able to receive that. And that means you can get Helping Seniors programs 3 times a day, 18 times a week.
All this is being done at no cost.
Right.
That's the amazing thing. The time, the air time, the viewing time is there, not being used. Mm-hmm. So all we're doing is we're not causing any kind of increase in cost to anybody.
Right.
What we're doing is using available time that's sitting there in a void right now and trying to put something on there that'll help people. Mm-hmm. And we don't have an aging plan in Brevard County. We don't have a real aging network except for Helping Seniors. Mm-hmm. I know that a lot of people like to think there is a network, but I really think, and I want, before I mention this, folks, if you got a pencil and paper ready, write down our website, helpingseniors.brevard.org. All one word, helpingseniors.brevard.org. Go on there and look at all the stuff that's archived. Kerry, you got 50 seconds. You can close out.
We all remember the story, the little engine that could. And, you know, I always really respect what you've been able to do. You have dedicated your entire later part of your career to helping seniors. I mean, you've been first what you did in the Navy world, then what you did in the Alzheimer's world, and now what you've been doing in the Helping Seniors world. And we live in an area where we have people who are 1 and 2 meets the ARP definition of elders. And by getting this information and being tenacious as you are about making sure it gets out there and that people have a resource to call into, it's really a blessing to this community.
Thank you, Kerry, for being on the show. And I want to thank you, viewers, for watching today's episode of Helping Seniors. I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of Helping Seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses and medical providers who support the mission of Helping Seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we would welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniors.brevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.